Hey, little sister, don't shed no tears. No woman, no cry. Hello and welcome to the next episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies with special guests Marie and Tim.
Hi.
This is the podcast where all four of us saw a movie at our local Regal cinema. And now we're sitting in Matt's Honda Pilot in the parking lot right after the movie, and we're going to discuss such things as, did we like this movie? Did we not like this movie? Should you make it out to the theater? Should you wait for streaming? Should you skip it altogether? Should you buy snacks or should you not buy snacks? I don't know. We're going to try to touch all those things, but we make no promises that we will. I am Todd Domer.
And I'm Matt Malone. Yes, welcome to our guests, Marie and Tim. Happy to have you here. And we are going to talk about a movie. And the movie we saw tonight is the anticipated next chapter in the Marvel Cinematic Universe, Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. That's right. We saw it. We're here to tell you all about it.
We did it.
Yep. So...
Ibambe.
Ibambe. What does that mean?
That's their war chant, I think.
Oh, okay. But what does it mean?
I don't know.
That sounds cool.
Fight.
Get ready to fight.
Mm-hmm.
Prepare yourselves to die. I don't know.
Mm-hmm.
That's good. Well, if we have any
Eat more chicken.
Wakandan experts, please weigh in with the translation. So who's in this movie? Basically, people who have been in Black Panther before are in this movie, who aren't completely dead. And even some people who are completely dead were in this movie anyway. So there is Letitia Wright, who's basically the main person in this movie, the star, the lead. There's
Angela Bassett.
Angela Bassett, yes. There's Lupita Nyong'o.
Mm-hmm.
There is
Danai Gurira.
right.
Martin Freeman.
Martin Freeman reprises his role as
Something Ross.
Government
Ross.
guy. Government guy.
Everett Ross. The
Yes.
second Ross in the
Julia
MCU for
Louis-Dreyfus.
some
Yeah.
reason. They running out of names and we got to have two Rosses.
Yeah,
They can't think of another last name to give someone.
true. Julia Louis-Dreyfus is in this. Good call, Marie. And there's a couple other people that it's like borderline whether it's a spoiler that they're in it or not.
Winston Duke is in it.
Yes,
He's
he was
the-
also in the first.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The leader of the M'Baku tribe.
Yeah.
Yes.
Man-ape. Except they don't ever call him that in this
Well,
movie.
Yeah. Well, that's
But
probably for the
that's
best.
his comic name.
Okay.
That is why he grunts like a girl.
Yes. So I think that about covers that. Anyone I missed?
I'd say that covers it.
Okay. Now here is where I'll tell you the spoiler-free version of what happens in this movie. So I'll do my best with that because there's a lot that happens.
Correct.
And a lot I would consider spoilers. So, what happens first in the movie is King T'Challa dies. And obviously they had to do something with that because Chadwick Boseman died in real life. So they cover that process. He had some kind of bad disease that they couldn't fix with their Wakandan technology. And so then we flash forward to a year after that. Some people have done some grieving. Some other things have happened. And it seems like there is some worldwide, in the world, there's some sentiment against Wakanda that they aren't doing enough or they aren't sharing their technology as they said they would. And so some people are frustrated with that. Namely, the United States is painted to be frustrated with the lack of vibranium that they have.
And France.
France.
Don't forget France.
France was spotlighted.
France was spotlighted.
France was the one that actually sent in the team to steal vibranium.
Correct. But we don't hear much from France
After that.
After that.
They were kind of shamed publicly.
We do hear more from U.S. and its agents. So what they do the U.S. does is they take this machine built by a young woman scientist who's a university student. She builds a machine that can find vibranium. And so they use the machine to try and find some vibranium. And in doing so, they unearth a never-before-seen civilization who lives underwater. And that civilization is headed up by this guy named Namor, who plays a major role in this film. So from there we go to Namor and his people don't like to be found. They don't want their vibranium taken that they have in their little segregated world. It's very much like Wakanda. I don't even know what their world is called.
Talokan.
That's their city.
I think
that's
the
all of
country
it. Okay. So they come and kind of they attack this boat and this machine that is being used to find vibranium under the sea, and they kill everybody, and it's bad times, and that provides more fuel towards the idea that Wakanda is not helping, and they get blamed, at least in the U.S.'s eyes, that they're attacking anyone who wants to find their own vibranium, and so there's problems there. So this leads to some interactions between these group of underwater species and Wakanda. Basically, they can bypass some of the defenses of Wakanda and appear in their own city. And they say, well, we want the scientist who created this. You need to deliver this scientist to us. Unknown why they couldn't go themselves and get the scientist, because they seem to be capable of doing that. I guess they maybe didn't know who it was. So Wakanda people, what?
They didn't want to be discovered.
Oh, that's true. That's a good point. I'm glad I didn't make this movie. Basically the Wakandans say, well, I don't know if we're going to do that, but we got to go find out who this scientist is and figure out what's going on. So they do, and they tell this young woman that she's going to come to Wakanda, and they're all ready to do that. And then the fish people come and end up taking her and Suri to the fish land. And
Underwater Kingdom.
Underwater Kingdom.
No. It's Fishland. From now on. If it's not Atlantis, then it's Fishland.
Yeah.
Yes. So then, they've captured the princess of Wakanda, and Wakanda doesn't like that, so they send in some people to go pull out the princess and the scientists, and they do, and they all go back to Wakanda, leading to a lot of problems between the blue people from Avatar and Wakandan people, and they decide they're going to have some fights. And then they do.
Yeah.
And I think that's all I'm going to say about that. Other things happen, but I think they're too spoilery for me to go into. So,
There's err on the side of caution.
we will.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So Todd, please share with us your thoughts on Black Panther, Wakanda Forever.
I will share my thoughts, and being brutally honest, my first thought is that this movie was a letdown, and I'm having problems separating the comic book self of myself from my review, because there's a lot of kind of just tossing out what the comics have done. So I'm like, all right, well, whatever. Like, there's no rule that says they have to follow the comics. Weirdly enough, my problem with this movie, and it's strange to say this about a Marvel movie, was the camera work and the CG. Like, both I thought were really bad this movie. And when I say the camera work, I mean they either used 4K cameras, or because they were filming in front of a blue screen so much, it just, everything was super clear, like right on the people in every scene, and then the background was blurry in so much of the movie. And I strongly dislike that. Like, it's just not, I don't like it. It's distracting. They had it in almost like kind of every big scene, like even the small emotional scenes. It was like this weird idea of the background needs to be blurry so that we're focusing on the two people in front of the camera, which I don't like, because I can focus on the two people in front of the camera and look at the beautiful scenery in the back, and it feels like a much more complete shot to me. They did that so much of the movie, and every time was just like nails on a chalkboard to me. And I really felt like the CGI was not on par with what we've seen. Like, there were times where, you know, fish people are coming out of the water, or things are flying around, and I just was like, this does not look on par with what we typically get from a Marvel movie. So I was not the biggest fan of that, and I also felt like the story was a little all over the place at times, or it was super slow. Like, the first like hour, I really liked the start of the movie. First 15 minutes of the movie, I was all in. I'm enjoying myself. And then it kicks over to like almost an hour of really not a whole lot happening. Like a little discovery here and there, and maybe a tiny action scene here, but it just was like, found myself getting bored, honestly. Which, I don't know, maybe that's my own attention span, but like, I wasn't a fan of that. So there are good things about this movie. It's not all bad for me. I thought the acting in this movie was really, really good. Like, I thought, you know, obviously they go, because of the whole Chadwick thing, they go pretty emotional, and they go, you know, they go hard into it. And I felt like the actors and actresses all did a good job handling the serious tone of basically death in this movie. Like, and to Marvel's credit, they let a lot of the emotion lay, instead of every scene that had an emotional aspect, there needed to be a comedy aspect to balance it out, which is Marvel's MO. But this movie really focused on loss and grief, and kind of working your way through that. And I liked that they didn't like muddle that up with a whole bunch of comedy. Obviously there's still comedy, and I thought it was all in appropriate places. Like, which again is a weird thing for me to say about Marvel movies, but maybe they're learning. So, but the story at times didn't make sense to me, because, like, as you were saying, Matt, they told the Wakandans to go in and get the girl, and then all of a sudden they show up at 2 in like, and they're like, we're trying to hide, but then they never pass the moment to not be hiding anymore. And it just, I think so much of the brain power of this movie went into honoring Chadwick and figuring out how they were going to do this movie, like a big memorial to this guy and stuff like that. And I think at times the story suffered because of it. The purpose of the movie was not, let's put out the best movie we can possibly make. It was, let's put out the best memorial to Chadwick we can do. And part of me appreciates that, and part of me says, well, that was at the sacrifice of my overall enjoyment of this movie. So I'm not even going to touch on the comic things, because there's just no point. They changed so much that it's like, but, you know, some good fight scenes, some bad CGI at times. I loved Namor flying through the air on his stupid ankle wings was just so deliciously good. I mean, like, I guess if they had to keep one aspect of Namor, I'm glad it's that one, I guess, because it's so ridiculous. So yeah, I mean, like, I'm not landing on the side of trying to convince people to not see this movie. Like, I think there's no reason to not see this movie. But it just didn't connect with me like I was hoping it was going to connect with me. But I think there's no reason, especially if you're a Marvel fan already, there's no reason to not see this movie. Go see it in theaters. You know, I guess forewarned, just don't let the blurry background bother you like it did me. So that's going to end it for me because I don't want to drabble on, which I probably could and probably already have and didn't realize. So...
No drabbling tonight, Todd.
Yeah. Let's go with Marie.
Well, thanks for having me back.
Oh, shucks, you're welcome.
And I agree with a lot of what you said. I was so excited to see this movie. I canceled other plans so I could join you guys.
Ooh.
And
Now you wish you didn't.
no, that's not true. That's not true. But I like you, I was a little bit underwhelmed for some things. The things I loved were I did love the acting. I thought they did a great job, and the depth of the emotion was great. And the thing that struck me in the very beginning was that they showed the women, the warriors, showing emotion and crying, but they were still so powerful. And to show that we can have those strong emotions and you can cry and still be powerful and be leaders, that just kind of was a moment for me that I really loved that they were doing that. And of course, I always love how powerful the women are in these movies. And I liked all the girly things, like, you know, the costumes and the makeup and stuff. And that was fun. But what I didn't love was there were some of the, and I'm not a big techie, but some of the effects bothered me, like when they were carrying the casket for that first funeral. I was like, that's going to flip. There's no weight to it at all. Like, it was just, I was like, they could have done a better job on that. I thought it was way too long of a movie. And I did something I've never done at a movie before. I just curled up and took a nap for 20 minutes.
Oh, wow.
Never have I done that. And it was in the big fight scene. I could not. It was the finale. It was it was in the finale, and I couldn't keep my eyes open, and I was so shocked. But I went, all right, well, I'm gonna close my eyes for a few minutes till this is over, because I was a little disconnected, which was shocking. And I went, gosh, I've never done that before. I mean, like, never. So so I'm not sure what that says, because that was, you know, only 40 minutes ago, and I haven't processed all of my thoughts. But anyway, I thought it was cool, and if you like Marvel and Black Panther, you'll love it. But there were a few flaws from my perspective.
Fair enough. Thank you for your brutal honesty. Tim, did you take a nap too, or?
I think I'm finding that I was the opposite of you two. I was fully enraptured by this movie. I never noticed any of the blurriness or other camera effects that you noticed. I was fully enraptured in the story from the start, because it started with that great music montage of you know, memorial to Chadwick / T'Challa, and the way they did it to, like, kind of be both mourning for the viewers and for the characters, you know, to kind of get through. We got to get this out of our system to get the story moving. And then from there on, I was interested in a movie that was equal parts emotion and action. Most Marvel movies build the story to get to a bunch of action. But this one made sure to focus on the balance of emotion and grief, like you said, grief, processing loss. Different people do it different ways. And I thought it needed it for this movie. And like you said, the humor was placed in small spots, in the right spots. Mm-hmm. But the movie let the emotion work and let the actors carry it. And so I guess because I was so involved in what the actors were doing, even in those scenes that you said where they, got close up on them and the background was blurry, I was so invested in what the actors were doing that I didn't even notice that. And especially I would give special props to Angela Bassett, who really brought it in this movie. And but I would say they all did, but she really was the central point of it at certain points. And I really say that for the the new guy who played Namor, I thought he was really compelling. He made that character interesting to me. I don't have the same ties to his comic origins, so to me it was like, I'm going to take Namor as they present him here. And I thought he was a really interesting character as well. He had depth, he had, reasons for what he was doing, and he wasn't like a cartoon villain where he's just out to stop. Like, you understood everything about him, and that he just was about his people first before anything else. And it's like, okay, that makes sense to me. So he's not a villain. He's just like, hey, you leave me alone, I'll leave you alone. But if you don't, there are repercussions. And I thought that was interesting and made for a really good conflict in the movie. Overall, I really was into it. And I actually liked the action scenes. I thought when they came, they were really cool. And they were able to spotlight everybody's parts. Like, everybody got moments. The one thing I do feel was shoehorned in was our scientist subplot, because she's going to get her own Disney Plus show at some point. And I really feel they kind of short-shrifted her, actually. Like, how did she build the suit? Where did she get the stuff from? She just had it and just was that good that right away. And I feel like maybe the Disney Plus show will give us that background, but they kind of did it in the reverse order. So that would be my one.
They do get lazy when it comes to technology, because it's like, how does any of this work? Oh, don't worry about it. It's vibranium.
And I want to, because even in the first movie, they at least, like, when you saw Shuri figuring stuff out or building something or having a tech like advancement, you were like, okay, you get the idea. She's growing up in this world, and that like she's really smart at this and she's really good. But like Riri, we just kind of met her, and they didn't give us the background for her that I feel like every other character had. So she was more, pay attention to her. We're gonna build her later, and I would appreciate maybe a little bit more thrown her way if we're gonna make her important in this universe going forward. But that's a small thing to me. For the most part, I was really on board with this movie, and I actually am intrigued to see how they would do a Black Panther 3, which I assume is coming at some point.
I would like to know how they can take an indestructible metal and do anything with it.
That's a fair point, too.
Well, I don't think I'll ever get that answer.
You may not.
They have vibranium tools to
They probably do, actually.
What came first, the chicken or the egg?
Right, there you go. But anyway, so overall, I think I enjoyed this movie much more than you guys did. And that's not a knock, it's just that's different, watching different things and catching different parts.
Oh, it's a knock, Tim. I'm taking it personally.
You should.
I thought there were a lot of good things about this movie.
Yes.
Just, some things went on too long for me.
Yeah, see, I was involved the whole time and never checking my watch, so I was in. So let's go to Mr. Matt.
Before you say anything, Matt, I heard a lot of sighs. And I can't tell. It's becoming harder to tell if the sighs are
just your instinct.
Like, you're seeing something and you're responding to it, or you're tired and stuff like that.
We're about to find out.
Well,
there were some noticeable ones too where things got really quiet, and all I heard was,
Here we go.
I thought the movie was too long.
Okay.
So some of my sighs were like, I can't believe this is going. I can't believe we're exploring this to this level. That I'm just like, let's move on. We don't need this much detail of what the underwater city looks like or whatever. So I liked some things. I didn't like some things. I thought that the best thing this movie did, and I think, Todd, I think you're the one who said this, it was like, was a monument to Chadwick Boseman and his character.
Right.
And I think that they kept, you talked about the comedy part of it and that it was all appropriate and in good spots. And I thought that they really kept this thread of seriousness throughout the whole movie, which is quite rare for a Marvel movie. And I think that was the best thing that they did in this movie. I think the story itself was kind of all over the place. That wasn't the point of the movie really, but on some level I gotta ding you for that a little bit, because I was like, okay, what exactly are we trying to have happen here? I did like the underwater civilization. I know, Todd, I was surprised to not hear from you about how this is another secret organization or civilization that we've never heard of.
It's just a broken record at this point for me. Yeah. But I was too busy trying to figure out how whatever the glowing sun was that Namor somehow produced under the water.
Yes.
Oh, do we get an explanation? No. No.
It's just vibranium.
Yeah.
I mean, at
It's
least
a vibranium sun.
At least in this case, it's not some government or world agency of soldiers. And
Correct.
This at least was a people that had reason to be. We're not involved in the world. We're actually hiding.
Yeah.
Right.
But yes, your point.
But anyway, I thought they were kind of a cool antagonist in this movie, and had some fun and interesting powers and stuff like that. That was kind of cool. They have some hypnotic singing that was like underused.
Like mermaid sirens. I guess.
Yeah. That was kind of cool, but it seemed to be disrupted fairly easily both times it was used in the movie. Yeah. I want more hypnotic singing. And I have to agree. I thought that the CGI seemed a little off, and the fight scenes, like, there was a lot of shaky camera in this movie as compared to previous Marvel films where the fight scenes were more choreographed and you got to see things in better detail. I thought that they went a little blurry with some of the fighting. And the last thing I'll say about this is that I really did like kind of how they pulled everything together at the end. I thought that the climax of the movie was worthwhile after a long build up to it. We got there, and I thought they brought it home with the kind of ending fight scene and subsequent expositions that happened after that. So overall, I would say it was an okay movie. Probably an average Marvel movie, but maybe a little bit above average for all movies of all time. Put it that way. So that's where I'll leave it.
Nice.
All right.
Well, got to get down to the nitty gritty here.
Yes.
So, how many I don't know how to phrase what I want to say, so I'm just going to go with my backup. How many water bombs?
I was gonna say.
The water bombs.
I was gonna say underwater bombs.
That's what I was gonna say.
I wanted to use the
said
somehow artificial plant, but
I would have said vibranium spear.
Oh, yeah, that's another thing.
that got
really
printed
well.
from a 3D printer.
Yeah.
Yeah. A lot of random things.
Let's just go with water bombs. Which
I thought you were going to go with ankle wings for sure.
Yeah.
Yeah, I've already highlighted them though. I was trying to find something that we haven't talked about yet.
All right,
So,
fair enough.
obviously 5 water bombs being the best because that's a big old water party. 0 water bombs being the worst because then you got no water, you got no bombs, you got nothing. You're just a sad sack. So let's start with Matt.
We will start with me, and I will say that I'm going to give this movie 3.1 water bombs out of 5. As I just kind of said, I think it's an above average movie. I think it's an average Marvel movie, but Marvel has done a good job making movies. So I'm going to give it a 3.1 water bombs, and say
plenty
you
of water
should
bombs.
see it.
Plenty of water bombs to use there.
Yes.
Marie?
I give it an even 3.
Okay.
An even 3.
3.0 water bombs.
Tim?
And here I am, I think, to disrupt the scale a little bit. I'm, as I said, I enjoy this movie a lot more, I think, than most of you. Not in a bad way, just it's not in the upper echelon of movies, but I'm going to give it a 3.7.
3.7.
Okay.
Well, to even us out in the other direction,
I knew it.
and another Marvel project that doesn't reference the giant bead coming out of the earth continues to bother me.
Oh, yeah. And you would think that of all people,
Yeah, you would think the underwater people would be like, hey, wait a minute.
Where did he come from?
There are good things about this movie. I know I'm like a cynic in some things, so I do endorse seeing this movie, but I got to go with my gut. That's what we do here, and I'm at a 2.7. It's and a lot of that is coming from the CG stuff. Like, it just either the 4K cameras and the CG, it just was not meshing well to me. I'm happy, Tim, that you were so sucked into the movie that
I honestly didn't.
But it just was.
That's great when it happens. When
Right.
you get sucked in like that.
I was
it's
all in.
So great.
I didn't even notice. Yeah.
And I think it hits me so
And
hard.
I hate that, like, in general. Like
Right.
what you're talking about, I hate that effect
Yeah.
when I notice it. And I didn't notice it.
I think why it hits me so hard and it's so frustrating to me is that for all the crap that I give Marvel movies, in all of our reviews, I always highlight that they
How
have
good they look.
have an on-point CGI team and like they know what they're doing. This
So it stood
time,
out to you. This time.
not so much. Someone was off, maybe someone quit. I don't know.
I know it was the same
But-
director.
Yeah, I if I could sum up all of my feelings in one, I think they went all in on a tribute movie and they just didn't focus on making a good movie. It still turned out okay, but it felt like so much of the focus was let's pay tribute to Chadwick, not let's make the best movie we can possibly make.
Maybe
so-
that's the
And
sacrifice.
I mean, that's what they wanted to do, so
Mhm.
that's their prerogative. But you got a 2 points. What did I say? 7. You got 2.7 for me because of it. So.
Okay.
Fair enough. Well, any last thoughts before we wrap up?
I think we're good.
I can't stress enough how much I loved Namor's ankle wings.
I thought Namor was great in this movie.
I think it was a great character as well.
And he also was extremely powerful. They did not skimp on him being
No,
a threat.
he was very powerful.
He was a threat.
Yeah.
That was cool.
For sure.
By himself.
Yeah.
Not counting all his warriors.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
Yeah.
They did not skimp on making him like, whoa.
All right. Namor is
Namor
the
forever.
man. Namor forever.
Had some famous Namor characters in the movie. They
Yes.
just were like glossed over though.
Yeah, well, that was more, I think, for you.
Yeah.
Specifically.
Well, I knew one of them.
Yeah.
Oh, someone's entered my spreadsheet here.
How's that possible?
I don't know.
Maybe I still have it on at home.
Yeah, maybe. Just appeared with a pink box.
Probably.
Well, anyway. So that's going to wrap it up for this episode of Matt and Todd Go to the Movies with special guests Murray and Tim. And we watched Black Panther, Wakanda Forever. And
Did you just wave in a podcast?
Sure did.
All right.
They were watching on Channel 1.
we gave this movie an average rating of 3.125 water bombs out of 5.
Wow, you were right there.
which is pretty
that's good.
pretty good
That's above average.
for movies in general. That
If
we're
you're above
rating.
a 3, you're in a good range.
You are in a good range. So we endorse seeing this movie. If you're a Marvel fan, of course. If you're a Black Panther fan, of course, you must see it. And I would recommend that you see it in theaters.
I agree with that.
So
Yeah, for sure.
Definitely.
I will stress that I do feel like the first Black Panther movie and this Black Panther movie are very different movies.
Yes,
Like,
I would also agree with you.
Absolutely.
They are
absolutely.
very different. So
Very,
if you
But I think
don't
that's-
go into this movie thinking,
Yes.
I saw one, I want them to just do one again, or I want elements of one in there. There's really
Yeah.
not.
No, I'm
besides
also- I'm
the
also-
returning characters.
I think that might be another reason I liked it, because it wasn't a repeat at all. It was different.
okay.
All right.
Well, we've already wrapped it up. We've already given our score.
Nobody's listening anymore.
Trying to say goodbye.
Thank you, everyone, for listening, and we will see you next time.
Da 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 da
Da da
da da da.
da da da.